Before we jump into today's Let's Talk, it's me, Jay. I just want to take a moment to thank our partners of the podcast, The Coldest Water. Use the code BALLBOY10 at checkout to save 10% at The Coldest's website. Great time to get someone you love a new water bottle, shaker bottle, your pet a new dog bowl, all the above. 10% off. Use code BALLBOY10 at checkout. Over at danos.com, danoseasoning.com, you get some Danos. The new everything bagels here just in time for the holidays. Up your seasoning game this holiday season with some Danos. Hot and spicy, hot chipotle, original, and everything bagel make for a great quadruple threat this holiday season for all your delicious food that you're going to be making, because I know you're making delicious food. Also, don't forget about Everlast, Fanatics, and everything else that we have in our link tree, which is in the show notes of this podcast. Also in the description on YouTube if you're there as well. Thank you for listening. Let's jump in and give the stage to myself on today's Let's Talk.
Powered by Riverside.
And welcome into the Young Dad Podcast. I'm Jay. You're on with me today for another Let's Talk. Super excited to be with you. If you would like to, you probably also could be hearing this live on AMP. Live on AMP is a newer platform, still very young, super cool. It's basically like a radio talk show app where you can have a talk show at the same time. So we're super excited to be live on AMP, trying it out. So make sure you go and join us over there. You can find us at, you guessed it, Young Dad Pod. We go live periodically. I go live. I'm your host, Jay. Without me today is Aaron, hence why we're doing a Let's Talk, but there's no better time than the present to get into Movember. It's November 2nd, Wednesday. When this is being recorded, it will come out Thursday, November 3rd. So Thursday, November 3rd, for all you guys that are listening here. And so it's November. A lot of people know it as No Shave November, but it's also Movember. Movember is awesome. There's a whole website for Movember. Basically what Movember is, it's the chance, it's the opportunity to bring more awareness to men's health and suicide prevention, prostate cancer awareness. And there's one more thing, and I cannot remember what it's for. Prostate cancer and testicular cancer. I should have known that. It's crazy because I think Movember is super cool. There's a whole website. It's Movember.com. You can search it up on Google. You can get involved. You can get fundraising. You can join the cause. It is fantastic. So, a little bit about Movember. Why is Movember so important? Why do I care about it? I care about it for a few reasons. The suicide rate in America of men to women is 4-1. 4 men to 1 woman. Year after year. And that's just a statistic. That's fact. Can't change that. In some countries, it's as high as 60, 70 to 1. Those are countries like South Korea, Lithuania. All over the globe, men are dying at an insane rate by their own hand. And it's a problem. It's been a problem for a long time. It's one we don't really talk about because no one really wants to talk about, suicide, people unaliving themselves. Because it's a hard topic. It's death. No one really likes talking about death. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, we talked about the 5 stages of grief plus 2. So 7 stages total. And, there was some great feedback on that, just about how relatable that is, but how true it is, because it is really true about the stages of grief and how important they are. But that's not what we're talking about. Men are dying at a uncomfortable pace as a man. And when are we going to say enough's enough? When it's 5-1 in the United States, 10-1 in the United States. More than about 60 men worldwide are lost to suicide every 60 minutes. 60. That's one man every minute is committing suicide. So this podcast will be about 30 minutes. According to that statistic, about 30 men will have killed themselves during this podcast. Not from listening to it, of course, but just around the world for different reasons. Personally, I've done a good amount of research when it comes to suicide, men's mental health, just being a human services major, and that kind of being what is up my alley and what I care about, because I'm a man. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a man. That's what I am. What I identify as. And so I care about this because there's other men who are dying too young. There's links in our description of these notes. There's links to our fundraiser, to our campaign. Yeah, you can help donate to. Aaron and I are trying to raise $500 on this campaign to help end and to help contribute to Movember. Movember has launched over 1,250 worldwide mental health, prostate cancer, testicular awareness, health events, groups worldwide since 2013. That is crazy. That's 10 years. That's over 100 projects a year because of amazing donations and campaigning like we're doing. Now, this isn't a campaign podcast. We're not going to be campaigning the whole time. But we're here to help end. We want to put an end to this. We want to lower these numbers. Because our brothers, our dads, our uncles, our friends, our bros, they're all dying too young and too soon. Sorry. Excuse me there. If you follow us on Instagram, you would have seen some pictures I posted today, the 2nd, about Halloween. I helped with a haunted house. It was super fun. I was chasing, I was scaring people. That's why my voice sounds a little bit raspy. And so if I get too excited and I talk a little bit too fast, and then I kind of lose some of that bravado. So bear with me. If you hear some random transitions or some silence, I'm just swallowing. However, we're trying to end brothers, dads, uncles, friends, bros from dying too young and too soon. That's one of the main reasons we're fundraising. But personally, I'm going to get very, transparent. Tell you a little bit about my story with mental health and how this topic has affected me, and I have direct relation with this topic, a direct relationship. This might be a little bit hard to talk about. I have it written out on my motivation on our fundraiser page for myself. But when I was 17, I had some pretty dark thoughts. I didn't want to go through high school. I was being abused at home. I was doing fine in school. I had friends. But I was just in a very dark place mentally when I was 17. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it anymore. There was one night, I remember it super clearly. I was so young. I was sitting on my porch, and I had like a little I'm pretty sure it was like a little pocket knife or something. Like it was real tiny. It wasn't that big. I don't think it would have broke skin, but I was holding it in my hand, blade out, just contemplating with everything in my mind to do it, not do it, to do it, to not do it. I was so ready. I was in such a dark place. Everything was just not there for me. And I was talking to as Movember calls it, a Mo sister, a Mo sis. She was my best friend at the time. And I didn't end up doing it. Of course, I'm here talking to you about it, not today, but I'm so grateful that she was there for me in my dark moment, my darkest moment, when I was on my porch. Without her, man, I want to be where I am today. Obviously, I want to be talking about this, sharing my story with you guys. I wouldn't have my daughters. I wouldn't have my family. I wouldn't have those that care about me. I wouldn't have this podcast. I wouldn't just be where I am without the people who were there for me when I was in that dark place when I was 17. And to fast forward 10 years later, well, maybe not even 10, 7, because I'm 27 now, but about 3 years ago, I lost my younger brother to an overdose. And a couple months later, I almost, thankfully, did not lose my dad due to his own mental health issues at the time it was called correlated to the death. So it was really hard, just knowing what he was going through, hearing about that. And then last year, it was just a year ago, where I was at work. I was working for a bank at the time, and there was I was working the deceased accounts. And these deceased accounts, I would get all these random accounts coming in, and I'd work them. But this name, I knew this name, and I don't know why I knew this name, and I didn't want to know this name. And the name that it was someone who I had just met, started getting to know a couple months prior through a mutual friend. He had committed suicide suddenly, randomly, and it was really uncomfortable to process his death notice, because it was one that I kind of had to take a step back from for a moment and be like, whoa, I didn't know him super well, but I still know who he was. I still laugh with him. I drank with him. I hung out with him a couple times. And it was just bizarre, because you're like, oh, he was engaged. You think his life was going good, and all of a sudden, shot, bang. Life changed. Fiance's life changed. Family life changed. I remember talking to the dad, and he was just devastated. There's so many times that I've seen different death certificates when I was working at the bank of people who cause of death suicide. It was uncomfortable how many men there were. I believe there was one woman. I probably worked 200-300 of these different accounts, and maybe probably more even. But the suicide ones, I only remember there being 2 women compared to about 20 men. It was an uncomfortable statistic, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, why? Why are men in particular doing this? And men in particular do it more violently than women. Guns, knives, weapons are involved. Quick things to get it done and over with. And another crazy thing on top of that, when it comes to suicide for men, is that women can be talked out of it more often than men. But men rarely get talked out of it. And I feel that's because once a man is at that point where he feels like, man, it's this is my only option. They we have already come to that point in our head where it's like, oh, this is my option. I got to do it. I'm just gonna do it, get it over with. Everyone else will be better off. Everyone else will be better off without me. And I feel like that's so not true. Not true. Because there's so many people that need you as, their brother, their cousin, their uncle, their dad, their grandpa, their best friend, their bro, their homie, their something. Whatever you are to that person, you are so much more than what you think you are to them. You are someone that the other person cares about. You are someone that means something to them. You are someone that is important to them, that they care about, that they have. And I'm going to go off brand here for a second. We usually keep this pretty PG, but you are someone that person gives a fuck about. They care about you. They do. I promise you they do. And their life is not better off without you. It's just straight up not. It's worse without you. Trust me, knowing my younger brother passed away 3 years ago, who an overdose, out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to him in a while. I hadn't talked to him in quite some time, and it was shocking because I didn't know how to react because we didn't have a great relationship growing up as teenagers, and I was like, what? Really? And then I remember talking at the funeral because it kind of just felt like almost obligatory to do so, being the oldest brother that was there, to say something. And now thinking about it, I don't even know what I said. I just said something, just to kind of bring everyone up. It was toward the end, kind of after everyone else has spoken, and you know, and it was kind of surreal because you don't ever really think you're gonna talk at your sibling's funeral. Just you're probably gonna talk at your parents, and you're gonna talk at your grandparents, and you don't really think you're gonna talk to your younger brothers, knowing what had happened. And sucks. But hey, it's part of life, and I'm getting off topic now. But that's my motivation. That is what's keeping me keeping me going, because that's what matters to me, is someone else not having to go through that pain, someone else not losing someone they care about. And that's a lot of the reason we're partnering with Movember, and the reason I'm growing a mustache. Because I can grow a mustache. It sparks the conversation. It's like, oh, you're growing a mustache for No Shave November. Well, I'm actually doing it for Movember. I joined with Movember because together we can make a difference for men's health in prostate cancer, in testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention. And we can help each other. We can help this organization. You can help me stop other men from dying too young. We can join together. It takes more than just me. It takes more than just Aaron. It takes all of us to stop these growing statistics. Because when is enough enough? November is a month-long event in which people are encouraged to grow mustaches in order to raise or grow awareness of and funding for research related to these topics of mental health issues, prostate and testicular cancer, mental health. And there's so much to talk about for Movember. There's other ways that you can get involved. 60-mile Movember. Commit to work out, run, be active, walk, run, bike, sprint, crawl, whatever, 60 miles during the month of November. Another way that you can get involved. You don't have to grow to save a bro. You don't. And that's perfect because you don't have to grow to save a bro. So let's talk a little bit more just about why it's important, because it's so important. Let's see. Listen, I want to tell you about Movember's why. Men's health is in crisis. Men are dying on average 5 years earlier than women, and for largely preventable reasons. A growing number of men, around 10.8 million globally, are facing life with prostate cancer diagnosis. Globally, testicular cancer is the most common cancer among young men, and across the world, one man dies by suicide every minute of every day, with males accounting for 69% of all suicides worldwide. That's why. That's why you should care. That's almost 7 out of 10 suicides for men worldwide. Go back to those statistics I told you about earlier. There's some countries where it's 70-1 men to women. And men won't talk. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're here. This podcast is here to give men an outlet to relate to other men who have been there, who are going through what they're going through, who have gone through what they have gone through, because we care, because we're doing what some other people can't. We're uniting this platform to ensure that our impact is significant, that we can reach as far as we can reach, that we use our voices for as long as we can use them. We partner with organizations like Movember, who are funding for the 3 biggest health issues facing men: mental health, suicide prevention, prostate and testicular cancer. You gotta talk. I encourage anyone with a brother, a dad, a friend, a male friend, boyfriend, a husband, a coworker who's down, be that someone they can talk to. Be there for them. Give them facts. Give men the facts. Be supportive. Just care. Care about the men in your life. Don't put them down. Build them up. Bros, build your bros up. There's a lot out there about, women supporting women, moms support moms. When's the last time you saw dads support dads? When's the last time you saw men support men? Bros support bros. We all know the bro code. We all know the bro code. Bro code. Bros support bros. Foundation right there. And Movember does great things, like they give men the facts, they change behavior for the better, they create services that work for men, they use the brightest minds, they listen to the community, and they advocate for men. Advocate for the men in your life. Advocate for those you care about. Advocate for change. That's what we're doing right now. We're advocating for change because we care about each other. and we want to care about our bros. So don't put your bros down. Build your bros up. Be there for your dads. Be there for your brothers. Let them know you care. Let them know they can talk to you. Let them know that it's okay for them to talk to you. Don't be embarrassed if you need help. There's great resources out there. Right now, it's really hard to get into a therapist's office with, since COVID, it's been really hard to get in to see a physical therapist, but there are great online resources. BetterHelp.com, not a sponsor, really should be. I use BetterHelp personally. I love it. It's changed my life. So please, whatever you do, support your bros. There'll be a link in the description of the show for you to look at, to go to the Movember website to learn more. You can read about the movement, their cause, impact, their story, their values, the areas of cause, mental health and suicide prevention, prostate cancer, testicular cancer. You can see they're super transparent. You can see their financials, their annual reports, the projects they funded. You can learn more about suicide prevention, mental health, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, get more facts. Man, you can go on there and learn more about what's normal and what's not on their section of Know Thy Nuts, Nuts and Bolts. You can learn these things right there. The resources right there. It's all there. You can learn. I encourage you to go over to the Movember website. I will post the link to their website in the description of the show, and it'll also be on our link tree for the whole month of November. So go over there, take a look. And just, in closing here, be a man of more words. Make stronger social connections. That can reduce the risk of suicide. That means more men talking about stuff that really matters. Those conversations don't always come easy, but there's people who are here to help. You can find local support services on the Movember website. I encourage you to read some of the stories. Go beyond small talk. Being a man of more words isn't about dialing up on the banter. It's about carving out space for meaningful chats about the bigger stuff in life, from talking about the kids, the bills, a new job, or a setback. The right conversation can make all the difference to a man who might be struggling. If we're all digging a little bit deeper, we can help prevent more men from reaching a crisis point. And that's, I can't make it any clearer than that. If you're lost for words, if you know someone who is in crisis, to speak with someone immediately, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255 or 1-800-273-TALK. You can contact the Crisis Lifeline Crisis Chat or the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 800-950-6264, or you can text NAMI, that's N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, M as in Mark, I as in Igloo, to 741-741. Or if you're ever worried about someone's life that's in immediate danger, call 911 or go directly to emergency services yourself. And then just the very last thing that I want to close with is from the Global Director of Mental Health and Suicide Prevention of Movember, a quote from him on the website. How and why suicides happen is incredibly complex. What we do know is that helping men establish better social connections can improve their overall well-being and reduce the risk of suicide. In our mission to make lasting change and dramatically reduce the rate of male suicide, Movember funds community-based early intervention programs that address mental health through a male lens. Talk to your bros. Bros support bros. Ask for help if you need help, if you need someone to talk to, if you got something weighing on your heart, weighing on your mind. Ask a bro. There are bros that care about you. Your bros do give a fuck about you. I promise. Go ask him for help. You won't regret it. Until next time, guys. And thank you to our live studio audience. Goodbye.